Welcome to Life Skills TTP. Today we're going to talk about live concerts, live music. When I was younger growing up, seeing UTFO. Also seen Music Soul Child and Too Short, and along with everybody else that was at the summer jams and the summer fests back in the day. Like, that was the thing. When we was in high school, we was like, when is that summer jam coming out? Real artists doing real things. So I'm going to do a little case study on this. It's the Blue Dot Fever and Broken Economics of Live Music. Why the era of record-breaking mega tours is forcing the middle class of music to cancel their shows. Let's hop into it. Now, the live music industry is richer than ever, yet the middle class is collapsing. So you have the boom. The industry projected at a record $31 billion. Taylor Swift's era tour grossed over $2.7 billion. Coldplay hits $409 million. Concerts attendance at an all-time high. Is that what you're hearing? Because I don't, let me check, because I got some search results, and these results, let me see if some of these people you guys always talk about on YouTube, you put them on YouTube, you say this, they that. I don't know if they made a record or an album anytime soon, close. I don't know. Let me check. So for rap and hip hop, we have S.D. Kid. Do you know him? Bunna B, Fake Me, Hurricane Wisdom, Zeddy Will, Pluto, Fat Mac. And then if you want to get into R&B, you got Coco Jones, Alex Isley, Baby Keem. They got Kendrick Lamar in the R&B. Very interesting. Momo Boy, Manny Wells, Black, you know, the Six Black, Daniel Caesar, Leon Thomas. So have you guys mentioned any of those people here on YouTube? Anybody? They seem to be winning. Let me see. So the bust is the mid-tour cancellations for major acts. The Black Keys, Mega Trainer, Post Malone, Childish Gambino, and the Pussycat Dolls. A massive festival die-off. 60 UK festivals shut down in 2024 alone. And so why is anybody talking about this stuff? They still want you to go. So what is the Blue Dot Fever in the industry's new cover story of a mathematically inevitable tour? Well, number one, the PR spin. The artist canceled citing exhaustion, family reasons, looks like Meghan Trainor, or needing time to record Post Malone. The breaking point. Well, the Black Keys recently canceled an entire arena tour because the booking 15,000 cap rooms while only selling 30 to 40% of its seats guarantees a massive negative ROI. And so the underlying disease is the Blue Dot Fever. When fans bulk at higher prices, vast swaths of inventory go unsold. So when they jack the tickets up, people don't buy the merch. You know, most people, I know when I was younger, I had to work, I mowed lawns and all of that. I was very, very, very resourceful. And I had my concert money, my ticket money, to see what I was going to see. You know, I had to ask. That was depending on what the energy was, the vibe. But my parents was cool. I went to mostly everyone that I wanted to go to. So, the creator of art takes home just $8.16 of a $100 ticket. Let's read that again. The creator of art takes home just $8.16 of a $100 ticket. Now, how many of the artists or people that come on here are going to tell you that? They're going to say they made 70 million on this concert, or 80 million, or 100 million on that concert. They don't tell you how much they got. Okay, that's total, probably. And so the starting gross would be 100, right? $100. Ticket fees, minus 22. Staging production, minus 30. Promoter venue split, 15% of the remainder, $7.20. And artist expense, travel, crew gear is $32.64. The artist net profit is $8.16. Any of you math geniuses and your math majors, please help me out. And I'm saying that, I'm not being sarcastic. That's some other stuff I'll get into later, but you know the math. And so you got record high ticket prices are still failing to cover the post-pandemic cost explosion. So the consumer impact, like the average ticket prices rose to 41.3%, from $82 in 2020 to $144 in 2026. From $82, it's almost, it's $62 jump. And so the operational reality, okay, the fuel and transportation. Now, you know that because of the war, gas, oil prices plus 40% up to 60%. This is why I break this down, because people don't understand all this stuff is connected. That's why I put this stuff on this channel. I put it on here just like I just did the 5 resources, the top resources in the United States, but also they're the top 5 global resources. And they have all kind of resources for the people who haven't abused their privileges. And I do that because at a time like this, if you're looking for some assistance, you're looking for some help, that stuff is very informational and it breaks it down step by step. I look this stuff up. I use some AI tools to get it done because I'm only one person, and fact checking and get a lot of accuracies and get rid of a lot of the inconsistencies, so you have exactly what you need if this stuff applies to you. And so I'm doing this because summer's coming up and they're hyping a lot of this stuff up. But the reality of it is, does anybody have $144? Like, okay, if you have teenagers or you have people, because that's pop culture and they're into that. My sons are grown. You know, they get their own ticket. But for ones of you that have that, you know, you might want to just have a chat with them about the inflation on it, and is it worth it? Because a lot of these young adolescents and these teens, you know, they're busting their butt to get the money for this stuff. And then what if they go there like they've been doing and they don't half perform and they don't do nothing? It's a whole emotional thing, which puts a lot of these individuals, you know, having to go seek some kind of stability for their emotional well-being. And so the crew wages and labor shortages are plus 30% to 50%. Everything is inflated. Insurance, weather premiums plus 50% to 100%. The overall festival production is up plus 250% in certain areas. And so, and this is current as of right now, 2026, $144. Now, you cap this right here at that, but we already know it's higher than this, some of these artists. And so the break-even cliff, well, not just talking about that a few videos back, just break it even. The break-even cliff is when booking venues past actual demands is a fatal error. And it just is. You know, a 28-day tour ledger data, the gross income is $135,983. The total expenses are $147,802, including $43,974. And the salaries are $17,000 in the van rentals. It is a minus It is a net loss of $11,819, which means they're not making any money. You know, the people that book this stuff, when they do this math, I was telling you, get the math geniuses. When they doing this math, they say, well, we're not doing this because we're just going to be paying for everybody to have fun. And on top of that, we're going to be out $11,819. So for the mid-level band selling 200 tickets at $20, the daily expenses of $1,450 mean each band member profits exactly $27.50 per show. I'm doing this just so you know. Not all the talking. Not all the people saying this. Not them bringing up all this stuff and saying that. The real data and analytics in the system. This is what it is for real. Everybody jumps on certain companies. They wonder why they do all of this, inflate this, as far as they're trying to make this actually happen. And in the end, they just decide no. And so the paradox loop. Streaming micro pennies force artists into high-risk touring trap. Right? Spotify pays 3 cents to 5 cents per stream. 1 million streams equals 3,000 what? Dollars? That's not bad. I thought it was less than that. So the production drains at 62% of the artist's expenditures. The artist cannot survive on the recorded music. The artists are forced back into the studio to release more music for pennies. Forced onto the road to pay bills. Operational costs explodes as tours run the deficit. Now, what do you see people doing? Now, why are they going on tour? Well, it says it right here. Forced onto the road to pay bills. Operational costs explode. Who's doing a concert? They ain't wrapped it yet. Hope you do well. But the physical trap. And so now you're into the digital squeeze, right? You said, no, I'm going to be able to stream this stuff. I'm using it forever. I'm going to be able to live off this stuff. And they come with this 3 cents and 5 cents per stream. $3,000 for 1 million streams. Million streams. Now, think about if you sold 1 million records, 2 million records, gold, platinum, how much money you would make. And this is why people didn't stand up for this stuff when it happened. It's too late now. Yeah. So the extinction of the multi-genre festival is accelerating. The 3 immobilizers. I ain't gonna really say that word. But the cannibalization. Taylor Swift and a mega tour absorbed the audience's entire annual live music budget. The climate and insurance surge, weather, ultra minor cost rain, streets, road collapse drives cancellation insurance premiums into impossible heights. Because when you cancel, you got to pay them premiums. Cash flow, strangulation. The artist guarantees now demands 50% to 100% upfront deposits before a single ticket is sold. So this is why this is happening, because you guys taking this money, allegedly. I don't want to say it because he said, man, you say I didn't. I'm not saying. Look, I have no invested interest in this. All I do is I love getting the data and the information. I share it for the individuals that want to absorb it and listen to it. It's all connected, and you're going to see it play out coming up soon. Because the facade is the fact that, no, it's selling out. Get your tickets fast. So the traditional festival model is the fundamentally incapable with Gen Z's economics. Now, here goes Gen Z again. With the Gen Z economics. Now, the general I don't know why I can't say that now. Audience ship. So I still can't say it. dimensions. The millennials 2010 festival boom, the Gen Z's 2026 reality. Oh, the generational audience shift. Man, that is absolutely bonkers. Okay. Generational. And I had to slow myself down. I do that because I was reading ahead and then I made it look like something else. People will call that dyslexic. You made it look like something else. Okay, we're not going to spend all that time on that. So the event preference of the multi-day, multi-genre social festivals, the single-night stadium, bucket list mega tours, high alcohol accelerated spend, low alcohol drug use, and tighter discrete spending. Higher digital isolation dropping youth festival attendance from 41% to 27%. So see, the highly group oriented, that's the social behavior. They're just not going to that stuff. Plus, it's a lot of it, they're not trying to risk nothing. So the monopoly tax, how vertical integration extracts 1.7 billion in overcharges. So there is the promoter. And then you have the venue ownership and you have the ticketmaster, the Live Nation monopoly. So the DOJ verdict, a federal jury found Live Nation, the ticketmaster, guilty of operating as an illegal monopoly. The mechanism, locking independent venues into exclusive ticket contracts, stifles competition and enforces unavoidable processing fees. So what is the reality check? Breaking the monopoly may not be a slash face value ticket prices, but it will spur platform innovation and trim services fees that turn an $89 ticket into a $130 purchase. Now, I remember when this came out a while ago, I didn't get into it because I like to wait and get the full breakdown because they won't release all of the documents and the stuff until it's complete. And I like to get the full picture. And so the double-edged sword of dynamic pricing algorithms. So what is the catalyst? Ticketmaster algorithm and algorithms react to demand, pushing face value tickets up to 400%. Olivia looks like Rodrigo, or even 4,000 for Bruce Springsteen. I had to see if I was seeing that right. Creating massive fan backlash. I know, but why? And I've explained that to you in the last slide about how these companies, these stars and these people, they sell you all the hype, but then when you get the data and the analytics, it doesn't pan out. So why for years were you keep hiding this? Because now they don't want to. They're saying, hey, we can't make any money. So the fan base resistance, overcoming resistance. The Suntech data shows organizations must mitigate the via product building, free seat selection, merch enhanced perceived value, and loyalty programs to preserve long-term relationships in a short-term price gouging. So yeah, make it so that they want to spend more money. A lot of people, when they get to these concerts, they can't do anything else. They want to bring in and smuggle in all of their stuff. They don't got no money to buy nothing. They don't have no money to go to none of those booths. Those people don't make no money at none of those booths. People are just there, watching the music and seeing what they can obtain for free. Nobody's selling nothing. And so the 1% of the mega tours in Rolling Stone's Swift is the price and power. And the impervious to the dynamic pricing backlash can change premium legacy rates. So the product scale, the massive fixed cost $5 million to $15 million in the stadiums are easily absorbed by sheer volume. Now the middle class, middle tier theater or theater acts pricing power higher, valuable to price resistance. The production scale crushed by arena economics. The fixed cost scale down a 20% drop in attendance. Guarantees a negative ROI. Vulnerability is high. The blue dot fever is fatal. And this is what's been going on in 2026. They don't want to tell you. I keep getting the same data. It hasn't changed. And I would check it out to see if they're even going to even perform before I start, just booking my ticket. And I'm not trying to be somebody that's discouraging them or shifting the money or trying to say whatever. I'm just giving you the information. The information is this. And you can refute it or do whatever you want, but it's going to come out basically the same. And it's going to be what it is. And I think in a time like this, it would be better if you were more honest and truthful about what it is that you were doing so people can support you and say, hey, yeah, that was one of my favorite artists. People do go through stuff. People do have hard times and things of that nature. They ain't trying to do that. But the way that they do it, it is so disrespectful to the fact that people are angry. And then they wonder why that they keep sliding into the abyss. Because at some point, you're going to have to absorb the cost. You're going to have to do something for free. You're going to have to show that you care about the people, that you care about this industry, you care about the music, and you care about people being able to come into your world and see you and absorb you and enjoy you. So I would think about that. And so the end of the romantic touring, the touring is no longer a cultural exercise to build fan base. It is a high stakes financial engineering. So the insight is hitting the road blindly is dead. Artists and managers who survive in this era will be those who replace romantic road culture with rigorous mathematical discipline, break-even analytics, and an uncompromising risk management, which means your artists must have talent, which means that they're going to deliver. They're not on stuff. They're not doing no weird stuff. You don't got to worry about them going into rehab. You don't have to worry about anything happening before this road trip happens, that these particular individuals are going to be all right. Because nobody tells those stories. It's only when it hits front page news. So the new playbook, survival strategies demand discipline at every tier. So the emerging clubs, 0 to 500 cap, hyper routine, van touring only, DIY everything, conservative sizing, better to sell out 200 capacity than half fill of 500. And that's right. The only reason you would say that is to get more money. You know who's actually going to come see you, so go to that event. Those people are going to be there. They support you. They rock with you. They do all that stuff. And so they'll be there to support you. It's when you do the outrageous stuff where it's like, oh, I don't know who's done that since 15, 20 years ago, consistently. So the developing theaters is 200 to theaters is 500 to 2,000 cap. The diversified revenue lean into high margin merchandise is 70 to 80%, and the VIPs experiences to offset ticketing losses. Yeah, get it back to the people, experiencing the individuals that they want to see. So the established arenas plus 2,000 plus cap, multi-night residencies, cut setup, transport costs, multi-currency accounts, hedge against Brexit and extreme FX volatility. Yeah, that's extreme, but you need something new. So the music remains timeless, but the business demands a new paradigm. So niche over broad. Niche over broad. Festivals must differentiate eco-sustainability, bespoke curation, or die in an unsaturated market. Oh, oversaturated market. Data over ego. And I'll say that again. Data over ego. Routing must rely on AI logistics and actual listener analytics, not vanity and arena bookings. Transparency over extortion. Fans demand fair pricing models. Venues and promoters must adopt clear fee structures to rebuild consumer trust. The bottom line is survival requires treating touring as a complex financial operation it has become, and not the loosey-goosey, we gonna do whatever, make some money off the back end, lie and deceive, and then at the end, you get tired, you get sick, and you cancel the last 5 concerts. It's where we're at. I always say work on your craft. I always work on my stuff. I'm not being funny or that, everything. Everything as long as I'm able to do it. Because you're going to be called upon. Because that's just what it is. And then you're going to have to deliver. And then when you can't, then it's obvious that you never took this craft, you never took this stuff, you never took it serious. It was only to gain, manipulate, control, and rise to a plateau that doesn't exist. And so this is Life Skills TTP. This is about the ticket prices in the music industry's cancellation of concerts in the last 5 years or so, and how it's increasingly getting worse, and to look out for these type of things, because make sure you do your research and make sure that you see that this individual, yes, does complete their tours and they do put on an excellent show. Because if they do go, I go. So if that's what's happening, then that's what it is. Life Skills TTP. Enjoy your day.